So welcome to today's Greater Life CoffeeCast, and with today being Friday, and we head into our traditional 4-Pillar Friday wrap-up where you can, in the newsletter, dive into all of the content we've shared across the last 4 days of the week. And the invitation is to do some journaling, to pick one piece of content and journal on it, to try to harvest and identify one piece of gold, one absolute pearl that, if you applied it in your life, would make all the difference. And one idea that I share with you today as a way to give you something to ponder over the weekend is, what are some molehills that need to be dealt with before they become mountains? So I've got two very clear examples in my life right now. One quite a practical one, and one a more, internal one. So the internal one is like, right now, I'm eating a little bit more refined sugar than I usually would, and as a result, I'm seeing a bit of a spike in my kind of ADHD type symptoms. My capacity to focus and to really feel like I'm on top of a plan and a structure is slipping a bit. And equally, my mood at times is, much more down in the dumps because of the glucose spikes that I'm allowing to come into my life. Now, it's not as significant as sometimes it has been with sugar for me, but I'm just noticing a trend in that direction. Hence, it's a molehill, not a mountain. And so by sharing this as well, it is an invitation for me to take care of that molehill. The other one that is more practical is that my van door. My van's pretty old these days, and there's a bit of rust creeping in around various places. And the door, I think one of the hinges has started to rust a bit and has started to kind of sag. And so the door is sagging and therefore not closing properly. And it's becoming harder and harder to close. And so whilst it's still closes and the van still drives perfectly well, it's definitely a molehill in that if I don't get it sorted soon, there could come a day where if there was a gust of wind or something else, I might be left with a van door that I simply couldn't close and therefore couldn't drive. So that is very much a molehill that I need to deal with. And there's a welding company just up in the local town that previously did some work on the van who I know do a good job. So to give them a telephone call is very much on the cards today as a way of taking care of that molehill. And there's one other thing to mention on molehills. And you may be someone who's very good at just dealing with them whenever there's something to deal with, it gets done before it becomes a major issue. That's not really been my modus operandi for life generally. And I'm really trying to turn that around. But, my way of operating tends to be, I give myself a mountain to climb instead of a molehill to deal with. I tend to act when things are on fire rather than when there's just a few sparks flying. And one of the advantages of that is, in kind of chaos, in stress, in, when there's things that got to get done, I'm really calm, I'm really focused because that's my typical way of operating. But I recognise it's not always the most productive or effective way. And one of the consequences of having a lot of molehills is that you just leak energy. That there's always something contributing to my mental load if I've got a load of molehills that have been undealt with. Constantly thinking, oh yeah, I need to deal with that. Oh yeah, I need to deal with that. And just even that small amount of mental energy being used up is significant. Okay. So it's not just about taking care of things before they get too big to deal with. It's about recognizing that there may be an unseen cost to having too many molehills lying around. So, as you head into the weekend, some time for reflection. What are some molehills right now that perhaps you haven't been dealing with? What are some molehills that need your attention before they become mountains? Okay.